Let's talk about it. The Forbes Stadia article. Wow. All right, y'all. So for those of you that are not aware, Forbes dropped an article where they said, it was an opinion piece by, I forgot the guy's name is Eric something. He said that he feels like that as far as next gen platforms, like console-esque type platforms, that he feels that Stadia is truly, at the moment, the biggest proponent of filling next gen, the true next gen platform. And he says that based upon the capabilities and the feature sets. And as I knew, because I know there's my friends in the PlayStation Nation, they love to be on top. Let me tell you about this PlayStation Nation, and I love them. I love them dearly. Very competitive people, you know what I'm saying? But we're gonna go through some psychology here. My PlayStation Nation, which I adore so much, they have a little bit of PTSD. What do I mean by that? They have a little PTSD from the 7th generation. The 7th generation is when PlayStation, the almighty PlayStation, walked in from the 6th generation, 150 million to 24 million with the Xbox, and I think 12 million with the GameCube. On top of the world. Right? Felt like that nobody could ever touch them. They done obliterated anything that came in contact with them. The Nintendo 64, the Dreamcast, the Saturn, everything that tried to compete with them, they just smacked it away. Then in comes the Xbox 360. And the Xbox 360 embarrassed PlayStation in many ways. Was outselling it in a lot of ways. Then when the PlayStation eventually did catch up, it was like too late. Everybody was already moving on. But the 360 wouldn't matter. Like a few years after, they sold more software than anybody. They sold more software even than the Wii. So the Xbox 360 was the chink in the armor. And ever since the 8th generation, which was the last generation with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, the PlayStation Nation has been relentless in its attack on Xbox. Now, the attack earlier on, I think, was a lot, was heavily jilted stuff. A lot of it wasn't fair, but it is what it is. All's fair in love and war. This is a console war. And as we got towards the end of the generation, just Microsoft, I think, as far as quality output, just was getting outshined from PlayStation, period. But all through that generation, any positive news about Xbox, the PlayStation Nation came up with talking points. I mean, man, they were so organized and so overwhelming to where they just stomped it out, right? It's everything that PlayStation does is 20 times, everything is 20 times better than Xbox. And that's the story. That's the end of it. There's no debate, right? So you have this new breed of the PlayStation fanboy that has this mentality. And in a lot of ways, they are right. PlayStation is the king of platform gaming right now. Hardcore platform gaming, I'll say that. When it comes to like the gritty content and the gritty platform gaming, PlayStation is king. But this wing of this community does not like any other platform getting any other accolades in a section where PlayStation is. PlayStation is supposed to run everything. And I knew there was going to be more blowback from this community than there would be the Xbox community. And the Xbox community is normally the group of people that show the most hate towards Stadia. PlayStation community is upset because, again, they're supposed to reign supreme. And I think what the PlayStation community often does is they get into these situations where they're angry about something without fully understanding what they're angry about. This person didn't say that Stadia is the best gaming experience out there, period, the 9th generation. He's basically saying that as far as nuance, new stuff, innovation, that Stadia is presenting the most of it. And I see nothing wrong with the argument. Let's look at it. Okay, all three platforms have express loading now, right? They all have express loading. All three platforms have the capability of giving you games at 60 frames per second, right? Even though Stadia has more games that are running at 60 frames per second than 9th generation game. Than their 9th generation counterparts. It's a fact. Stadia was built from the ground up to have a performance mode for the overwhelming majority of their games, 95% of their games. So even though their catalog is dwarfed in a lot of ways by the back catalog of the PlayStation and the Xbox brand, when you start this generation, even on the newer consoles, there are simply more games on Stadia that operate at 60 frames per second than on the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X at the moment, period. What, Stadia has, 130 something games right now? And 95% of them run at 60 frames, have a performance mode. So even though all three of them get those check boxes, Stadia's check boxes is bigger. Period. There's no way around it. Next. Okay, so all right. So then you have the dual shock controller that goes in the favor of or the dual sense controller that goes in the favor of PlayStation. Who has the most innovative controller? Okay, you can give it to PlayStation. Now, here are the check boxes that go specifically and only to Stadia that this writer was talking about. No downloads. No patches to sit through. Instantaneous travel. If I'm playing the game that you see on your screen right now, Immortals Fenyx Rising, on Stadia, PlayStation and Xbox, if I want to play it on the go, on my PlayStation and Xbox, I am SOL. If I want to pick up the same game and go to a friend's house, go to the laundromat or whatever, I just transfer that instance to my phone in like 3 seconds and go about my business, and there we go. Right? Am I right or am I wrong? So, and then as far as the instance, unlike the Switch, we can even throw Switch in here. With Switch, they don't have a 9th generation. Well, it is a 9th generation console. So yeah, we can talk about Switch. Even with the Switch, when you go from dock to undock, you are degrading your performance and resolution. You don't get that with Stadia. If you have a mobile 4K capable device that can run at 60 frames per second, ain't nothing get degraded. Your performance is whatever the device can accept. That's what you get with Stadia. Stadia doesn't say, oh, we only run strong on TVs and high-powered desktops. They run strong. It runs strong everywhere. So because, again, you have more check boxes as far as innovation and forward thinking is concerned, that's what the writer was talking about. The writer was talking about as far as, all right, this is giving me a different feel from gaming that I felt before. He didn't say that he felt like the best gaming experience, period, was with Stadia. I mean, I feel that way. All of you feel that way. But let's be honest. Most people want to play their Call of Duties, their Maddens, and their Apex Legends, all those games. And we got to be frank and honest here. Those games just are not available on Stadia. So until they do, this is why I say Stadia, as great as it is, it's unfair trying to put it there as a premier platform, because it's not trying to be a premier platform right now. Right now, they're trying to be the best cloud gaming option that is out there. And to me, in my opinion, and as far as many other critics are concerned at this moment, as of recently, they feel that way too. They are winning in that area. And they know they're not ready for the big stage. Hence why they're only in so many locations. They're only in 16, 17 locations right now, I think. Maybe 20 now. They're hardly anywhere. So they're not trying to compete on that level. It's just what the writer was attesting to is that Stadia is giving you the most nuanced experiences. Again, no downloads, instantaneous travel. Stuff like that. And a couple of arguments that I heard that don't get it is I heard people say, well, hold on. That's not fair, because what about the 4K 120 check boxes that the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X maintain? And I'll tell you this, the overwhelming majority of gamers who hear that think that's great, but they don't have the hardware to opine. In order for you to play at 120 frames per second through HDMI, you gotta have a 120 hertz TV or display that accepts HDMI 2.1. Do you know how many TVs in gaming homes don't have that? The overwhelming majority. So that's not something that the average consumer can indulge in. Even with the PlayStation controller, as great as it is, the overwhelming majority of games that you play with it, you don't experience all that haptic feedback yet because it hasn't been programmed in it. I think it's in Battlefield or Call of Duty, a couple of games in Astrobot Playland, which is a phenomenal experience once you get it in your hands. I'm telling you, I was wowed by it. They definitely have something on their hands, but every game isn't benefited from that. I can tell you, every game on Stadia is benefited from the no downloads. Every game is benefited from the instantaneous travel, the boop, 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 in 3 seconds I can take it to my phone. And over 95% of the games are benefited from 60 frames per second. So even though we're talking about some things that definitely are noteworthy, what the writer was trying to illustrate is that the things that the average consumer can, which is tangible to them, there's more check boxes as far as nuanced, forward-thinking experiences with Stadia. But still, at the end of the day, if you go to this person, they're not going to say, well, I recommend Stadia over the PlayStation. They're not going to say that again. Why? Because all of the popular games are yet to come to this platform. But we definitely got to give this platform its props. It's the most forward-thinking platform at the moment. And that's just the beginning. Again, we got YouTube direct streaming that is far superior than any direct streaming anywhere else. Our games look professional. We got crowd play, crowd choice, and state shares about to come this month. So even with streaming features, as streaming gets better, those are 4 more check boxes in our favor. Well, no. Direct streaming is something that they have too, but you got to have the box in order to use it. But I'll be fair. Everybody has direct streaming, but there's 3 more check boxes. crowd share, crowd play, state share, and crowd share, I think it is. Those are 3 check boxes that the other platforms don't have. So again, I'm not mad at the article writer because I think he made a lot of sense. You gotta give kudos to Stadia where it's deserved. And they definitely deserve kudos in the realm of their forward thinking. It's just that they gotta get the games. Once they get the games, then we can evaluate if they're on the big stage yet. But this person wasn't saying that the platform is ready to take over the Xbox, but he's just saying as far as forward thinking. Regardless of the forward thinking trinkets, at the end of the day, you got to get the games, and they are working on them. So again, my plea to the PlayStation Nation is relax, chill. Wasn't saying that Stadia was better than the PlayStation. He was just saying that as far as forward thinking, it is, and you got to give it its props where it's due. All right.